At that time, all our detectives were ordered to work the field. We had our undercover guys out working the field. They immediately start canvassing the area looking for the suspect vehicle. We made broadcasts to the county radio system to let them know that this guy was involved in multiple crimes, to be on the lookout. A few minutes later, at about 18:25 hours, 6:25 p.m., our undercover vehicle found our suspect vehicle, the silver Mercedes, in the parking lot of the 7-Eleven store, and we called for additional units. Our guys were wearing plain clothes, and we asked for assistance from Santa Ana PD. As this was happening, we were waiting for Santa Ana PD to show up. Our suspect came out of the 7-Eleven store armed with a knife and a handgun. Unbeknownst to us, what happened inside the store was he just disarmed the security guard, stabbed him, and his condition right now is unknown as far as his injuries, but he was grave condition, was taken to UCI hospital. As that was going on, we were told that there was a robbery at the Subway across the street from the 7-Eleven that happened just prior to this, where an employee was stabbed inside the Subway. Unfortunately, that person succumbed to his injuries, and so we had that person die. So right now what we have is our 2 victims here that are stabbed to death, and we have our Subway victim that's been stabbed, and he died too. So right now I'm going to bring Commander Rodriguez up from Santa Ana Police Department. He's going to talk about what Santa Ana PD is doing at their 2 crime scene locations, which is the 7-Eleven and the Subway. And then I'll come back up for some questions after that. Commander Rodriguez.
Good evening, everybody. Commander Rodriguez, Santa Ana Police Department. Tonight at approximately 6:15, 6:16 in the evening, Santa Ana Police Department received radio calls regarding 2 assaults that were in progress. The first assault occurred in the 3800 block of West First at a Subway, where a victim was assaulted. It is unknown what kind of weapon was used at this time. The second assault occurred at the 7-Eleven in the area of First and Harbor. Officers who responded to the area of the Subway location performed first aid, and when paramedics arrived, the victim was pronounced. The second victim from the 7-Eleven was transported to UCI and was later pronounced also. So at this time, we do have two homicides in the city of Santa Ana, and it's still an ongoing investigation, and we're collaborating with Garden Grove PD, and this is a joint investigation.
Commander, what's your first name?
Robert.
Okay, so to recap, multiple robberies. We have at least 4 victims that are deceased tonight. This is tragic. You know, we don't want to see tragedy like this happen. It's been happening across the United States. But what the good point of this we can see out of this is that our officers responded quickly, rapidly, and were able to take this guy into custody as fast as we could. So we took the suspect, who was a danger to the public, off the streets, and he's in custody right now. He's a male Hispanic. He's from Garden Grove. He's 33 years old. We're not going to release his name right now because there's a lot of things that are happening with the investigation. We have to do infield show-ups with our multiple witnesses and victims to try and get this guy identified so we can tie him to all these different crime scenes. What I will do in the next hour or so, I'm going to come back, release some names and conditions of victims, some ages, and we can go from there. Hopefully at that time, we could possibly release the name of the suspect. We're trying to work on a photo of our suspect that time that we can release it to everybody. So right now I'm going to open up to any questions that you might have.
The silver Mercedes, did it belong to him?
The silver Mercedes is registered to ours.
Why would he do it? We got a motive for this?
We have no motive at this point. We don't know. It's just pure hate this guy did this. We've heard...
Drugs?
I don't know his drug condition, if he was under the influence of drugs or not, but we know that this guy was full of anger and he harmed a lot of people tonight.
You said it all started at 409 here?
It all started here in Garden Grove at 4:09 p.m.
This building behind us?
At the apartment complex directly behind me, where our victims had the burglary they had called in to report.
So that there were no stabbings here prior to that burglary?
At 4:09 there was no stabbings. We had the robbery right after that. We responded to that robbery. Then after that robbery is when we had the first call of the stabbings.
Back here again?
Correct. At the same.
What's his connection to the 2 people stabbed?
We're trying to investigate that right now. We don't know exactly where the suspect came from, but he does have ties to this complex. We're trying to establish that through our investigation.
Lieutenant, was any of this racially motivated?
You know, there's been some comments made by different people about this guy was saying different things. Our Suspect is Hispanic. All of our victims in this situation are Hispanic.
So this is just robberies.
Robbery, hate, homicide. This is all the above.
How does it strike you? We're talking about like a square mile and an hour and a half, 2 hours of just mayhem. What, 4 people dead now?
We have 4 people deceased, all 4 males. We have a female that's been stabbed. We don't know her condition. Hopefully she survives. And it's just pure tragedy right now.
And any reason to believe that any of these people were connected to him in any way, or do you think they're all random robberies? Or
These are all random acts of violence. Our suspect was not associated with any of our victims.
did he live here?
We don't know that yet. We're trying to determine that right now.
Any priors on this guy that you can talk about? Like, does he have a criminal history with you guys?
We're not going to get into his criminal history, but we will try and release that as soon as we can.
Did he steal the security guard's gun?
He did take the security guard's gun. He was disarmed.
And is it the security guard that ended up being deceased, or another person in 7-Eleven?
The male at 7-Eleven was the security guard that was deceased.
The person at the subway was taken to the hospital is recovering at this point.
The subway person died at the scene. So we have, to recap, we have the 2 homicides here in Garden Grove at the apartment complex. We have the homicide at the subway in Santa Ana, and we have the homicide at the 7-Eleven in Santa Ana. And then we have the multiple stabbings here. We have the male stabbed at the Chevron gas station that had his nose almost severed off, and we have the female at the insurance company that suffered multiple stab wounds.
So you got 4 dead and 2 wounded.
Correct.
Did he try to rob the guy at the gas station?
The motive behind all this was robbery.
And the gal in the insurance?
Yes, at the insurance company, the motive was robbery there.
Just real quick, what was the order of the killings and stabbings?
The 2 stabbings here happened first, the homicide, and then we had the homicide at the subway and the homicide at the 7-Eleven.
Is his car his car?
We don't know if the car's registered to him. We're investigating that right now, but we do have the vehicle in custody, our suspects in custody, along with multiple weapons.
Carl, I thought you said it was his car.
Well, I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you happen to know, was he wearing a light blue t-shirt? Or was that just like, who was the guy that took into custody in front of 7-Eleven?
The guy in custody in front of 7-Eleven is our suspect.
In the light blue t-shirt?
I don't know what he was wearing.
Do you have anybody on Spanish?
I can get a Spanish speaker over here. So we'll do another update with more information.